Hey everybody, Tommy PVS here, going live again. So I came on live last Sunday. We did another video on Wednesday, and as I promised, here we are, Sunday before Labor Day, coming back to you all. I wanted to say thank you first off to everyone I've heard from. I've gotten like well over 100 private messages, a bunch of comments on the videos. Whether it was the video on Sunday talking about opportunity or the video we did Wednesday talking about how to seek help and view networking not as asking for things and being transactional, but really just getting people to help you and think about help in a different way. So as promised, I'm announcing tonight my next free Networking 101, The Truth Behind Networking webinar. It's going to be September the 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Usually I only allow 50 people to sign up, but because I know there's so much hype, and I just know this time of year can bring out that professional anxiety in people. There's just something about September, kind of the new year, fiscal year, school starting, whatever. So I'm going to actually have 75 spots. I do anticipate those filling up very quickly. So if you're watching me live, just let me finish this video, and then I'll post the link. But if you're watching this anytime after I've gone live, I would click right away and snag one of those spots because they're going to fill up really, really, really fast. So this webinar kind of brings everything together. It's an opportunity, as we talked about on last Sunday. It's a chance to take an opportunity to learn and learn how to go and seek help. So you're going to receive help, you're taking advantage of that opportunity, and when we put those things together, that's how you go out and you start finding those professional opportunities for yourself that you're just never going to get through a job board. It's never going to come your way by just messaging random people on LinkedIn. And it's very unlikely to happen if you're just trying to meet total strangers at these networking events. It's really all about figuring out a way, and I will show you that way in the webinar, to how to get people really proactive in helping you. I bet a lot of you have networked and people have said, sure, let me flag your resume or I'll send you a job announcement. But like, that doesn't really help. That's not very proactive. It's reactive. If I hear of something amazing, I might think of you. Well, that's very unlikely I'm ever going to come through with that. You want people to think, God, who do I know? What can I do? Let me get creative. Let me reach out to these people and see if they might know anybody. I'm not sure if I can help directly, but like, let me see what I can do. It's that proactive nature. And if we can get 3 or 4 or 5 people doing that for us, incredible, amazing things happen. We meet a lot of people. We start hearing about a lot of opportunities that could be out there. Again, that are never going to make their way to any job board at all. So a lot of you are probably thinking, this isn't going to work for me. Like, I have a lot of hesitation about this, Tommy. Like, there's 1,000,001 reasons. Last week, I sent you a link to give you a whole list of people who felt the same way, who felt it wouldn't happen for them, but they had an open mind about getting help. They were willing to come to this webinar, and I showed you kind of the outcome in their incredible, amazing career since then. And I actually want to focus on one person specifically. I want to talk about an amazing woman named Tiffany Newsome. I could have picked a lot of people, but I picked her because when I first started helping her, it was 7 years ago. And why that matters is I've learned so much in that time. So basically what I'm trying to say is, like, this stuff worked really well for her, and I just wasn't even like that good at teaching it yet, which proves it's nothing to do with me, right? It's actually just this method and this approach that's worked forever that worked really well for her. It's a very long story. I'll keep it really short. I went and spoke at a university in town, and actually ended up speaking at their orientation. So there was like 250, 300 people in the room. I gave my little 10-minute spiel about what I thought they needed to do to really succeed outside of the classroom, and I wrote my email up on the board. And only one person in the entire auditorium emailed me, and it was Tiffany. And she was really worried because despite being a year into grad school, she was still working retail for basically minimum wage. She just was never hearing back on any applications whatsoever, and she was really, really shy. You could tell it took so much guts and nerves for her to reach out to me. So I sent her through DC hopefuls. Like, I didn't even have this webinar quite yet. I had what I knew I wanted to teach her, so I just did it over the phone because I didn't have a webinar yet. And needless to say, she took it and she ran with it. And it wasn't perfect, and she had some issues in the beginning. But ultimately, it was able to get an internship in her field that paid pretty well. And she picked up on that experience. And then when graduation was over, she got a job in her field. And then I'll always remember her reaching out to me and saying, I've gotten pretty unhappy with my new leadership. I actually quit my job last week. And I thought, what are you doing? Are you crazy? You can't quit your job. She's like, no. I have an FU network. FUCK. And I was like, wait, what does that mean? She's like, well, some people have FU money. Like they don't have to care or worry about money. She's like, I just don't ever really have to take crap from anybody because my network's so strong. And I just couldn't believe the confidence of this woman who, like, a year and a half earlier would have never talked that way. And sure enough, it was her network who had really encouraged her to quit, take some time off, step back. And within about 6 to 7 weeks, she had an incredible lead at a really prestigious think tank, ends up getting that job, almost doubles her salary into a very high-paid 6-figure salary, doing exactly what she told me she wanted to do when I met her in the very beginning. It's just this incredible, amazing story, and there's just so many like them. When you just follow this simple, timeless, proven approach. There's a lot of people I've heard from in the messages I've been getting say, isn't networking kind of annoying people? Won't I look really weak and naive? But if you remember my moving analogy from the last video, networking is really about positioning the person to want to help you. It's actually the opposite of annoying. You really fill them up. You make them feel amazing because they get to help you. They get something very self-fulfilling in being a part of your journey. It feels good to them, and they're eager and dying to help. I can think of I was at a friend's birthday party last night for his wife, and I remember his wife helping me years ago when I was first learning how to do this, and she said something to him. She said, I really hope Tommy finds the job he wants, but I really hope I'm the one that helps make it happen. And I was like, that's networking, right? Is you have people who not only are helping you, but they want to beat the other people, elbow them out who are helping you too. They want to be the one who delivers and gets you what you want to do because they're so excited for you and they just love being a part of it. Another thing I'm hearing, I'm looking over at my notes is, okay, Tommy, but I don't know the right people. This all sounds great, but I'm not from the right part of the country. I didn't go to the right school. Well, remember, I'm a kid from a small town in Arkansas who didn't know anybody either. So if you're worried about that, you don't even know where to start in networking because you don't think you have the right people to network with, you definitely want to sign up for this webinar because I blow that myth out of the water. I explain to you who the right people are and how this approach can work for anyone. I don't care. As long as you know a few people, I don't care where they live or what they do, you can make this happen. It might take you a little bit longer than someone else, but I promise you this approach can work. I just don't have time tonight to explain why. You're just going to have to sign up for this free webinar. So I took at least 45 minutes, I could, like I said, I could keep going for 45 minutes, hence why this webinar is 45 minutes long. Look, there are no secrets in this webinar. There are no hacks. There's no tricks. This is a simple approach that has been used way before the internet, right? You got to think to yourself, it was 1980 and you wanted to work on Capitol Hill. You wanted to work in national security. You wanted to work in whatever, advocacy. There was no LinkedIn. There was no email. You would have had to have done something. What would you have done? And so many of the principles I teach are basically what people were doing before they could go create a LinkedIn profile and before they could go apply to 30 jobs in a day. This is what people used to have to do. And I joke all the time with people I'm helping that what we're doing now is the whole country is zigging and we're going to zag. Everybody has become completely obsessed, and I blame the career centers, and you'll learn about that in the webinar, completely obsessed with their online presence, applying online, their LinkedIn profile, the buzzwords on the resume to beat the machines, the algorithms, whatever. And they've all just went away from true, honest human interactions, which will always work above all else. Because at the end of the day, people don't want to be impressed, which we talk about in the webinar. This not only has always worked, but because we're zigging when the whole country's zagging, it works better than ever. Because I would argue 10, 15 years ago, you would network with people and maybe they weren't getting bombarded, but they were used to people coming to for them for help, right? And so if you did it right, they would still help you, but maybe they're helping another person or two. Now there's a really good chance you're going to be the first person that's asked for someone's help in a very long time. I've actually done surveys and reached out to lots of people, and across the board, it is universal in DC that people agree that networking has gone way, way, way down. That they don't understand why they're not being asked to pay it forward. All these people help them get to these incredible careers, the heights of their position for their age or just regardless of age, and yet they're not really getting to help that next generation, that next group behind them. Their peer group isn't trying to break into their field and ask for their help. So I think not only has this always worked, but it actually works better than ever, which is sad for the country, but awesome for you and me. And that's what we're going to talk about quite in depth in this webinar. So I think I've made my point. I really hope you guys join us. Like I said, I'm going to open this up to 75 people versus the regular 50 because I'm that excited and I'm that confident that spots are going to fill up in probably the next 2 days. So I would not drag your feet. So as we finish off, really quick recap. We all want these professional opportunities, but are we actually taking advantage of the learning opportunities, the opportunities to learn how this works? Are you actually taking advantage of opportunities to learn how to go build those opportunities? And it really comes down to changing this mindset of, oh, I can do it on my own, I can press people, versus I need help. Networking is about accepting help. It's about positioning that person to feel really good about the help they're giving you, and you feeling really strong and confident and that it's perfectly acceptable and expected to accept that help. So take advantage of this opportunity. Let me help you with this webinar so you can go make an incredible impact on the world that you were born to make. I know that sounds drastic, but I truly, truly mean it. I'm going to put some pictures in the comments below if you're watching this on Facebook. If you get this on an email, I'll just paste it right under the video. I want you to see what other people have said about this webinar and how it's changed their life. So anyway, I hope everyone enjoys their 3-day weekend. Thank you all for watching this video, and hopefully I'll be seeing a bunch of you on this webinar.